What sets you apart? How's your personality? What do you bring to the table? Why should people tune in? 99 times I was disappointed, but that one time, now with the business that I'm having, that one time it worked out. So I kept going. At the end of the day, you have to get up and do something. And then somebody said, you know what COVID did? COVID exposed the scam of the fitness industry. And I was like, ooh.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Blitz Growth. Today we have Gregory here. I'm really excited about this episode because it dives into the fitness space, a bunch of interesting stuff to learn from Gregory and all of the journey he's taken to fitness. Just a recap of Gregory, he's niched down in a crowded fitness space to focus on kettlebell training, nutritional coaching and weight loss, some awesome content on YouTube, and we dive into how he's used online coaching, live YouTube sessions, and a bunch of other ways to grow his business online. So Gregory, thanks for joining.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, I knew I was going to mess this up, and that's why I didn't want to do it in the intro, but you are the founder of Lebensstark.
Genau. I wanted to say in German, genau. Yes, exactly. It's Lebensstark personal training. Yes.
Nice. And you're based in Switzerland, and and obviously Switzerland has three languages. They speak German, French, and Swiss. Is that right?
Yeah, we speak Swiss German. That's a alteration or variation of the normal German language. Then we have French, we have Italian, and then we have Rätoromanisch. That's the fourth language, but only a few people speak it. But it's actually four languages, in a pretty small country. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, because I've got other friends in Austria, and then I've got my German friends and Austrian friends, and they don't even understand each other, both speaking German.
Yeah, that's the dialect. You know, when I live close to the border of Germany and Austria, so Austrians understand as well because the dialect is pretty similar. And the further you move up to Germany, the lesser they understand us, because it's a dialect question. Yeah, it's very interesting stuff.
Yeah, well, we'll go over that another time. But today, I really want to focus on, how you've built this amazing company out of what looks like to be you started out as personal training.
Yeah.
But let's dive into how you sort of got started, what your journey was, and then go from there as to some key milestones that you hit and some strategies you used.
Yeah, great. So it's quite a long story, but I try to keep it as short as possible. I followed the routes of music. I was a rapper, a musician for 15 years. Wow. And I tried to make it in that space. And then the fitness or training, working out, always accompanied me. I was working part-time in the gym as a fitness instructor, but I was also following my gigs that I was having as an MC, as a host, as a musician. And come to find out, a few years later, I had to make a decision. I had to decide, do I have to follow this route to make it as a musician even further? Do I have to work harder? Or do I have to switch directions? And actually, I decided to switch directions. And that's one thing that I always tell people. It's, you probably hear this a lot, that people tell you, listen, you got to follow the dream, you got to do what it takes, you got to hustle, you got to grind, and all that, which I do support and I do understand. But sometimes the question, in my case at least, is, do you have to adjust? Because sometimes maybe working hard for that dream won't work out. Because that's something actually that I've learned in life is 90% of what you're trying to do won't work. So you have to grind, have to keep working, and maybe adjust your trajectory. And that's what I did. And then I wanted to do something completely different. I left the gym business, the fitness industry. I was still working out because that was a passion. But then I left it, and I was following a path in the corporate world because I said, you know what, that's it, I'm done. After 15 years of trying to build something, I'm done. But if you have something inside of you, it never quiets down, right? I still had that vibe. I knew I had to do something. But out of the blue, but I would say it was maybe God's will for me to find that one thing where I remember quite vividly. I was at a photo shoot, and this one guy calls me up, and he says, "Hey man, I know you're into training. You're a gym instructor. You're a fitness instructor. Do you want to coach me? And that was my first client. And soon after that, I started using the so-called American model of training, because I was in a local gym. I paid the fees for each client that I have, for each workout that I was able to do in that gym. And then about 2 or 3 months later, I was able to quit my corporate job, my day job, and focus on personal training. And that was the start. That was February 2016.
2016. Okay,
yes.
Nice.
Yes.
And so that was the first client, and then you must have quickly scaled up in number of clients because, to quit your corporate job.
Yeah, it went pretty fast, and I think I was up to, I can't remember it exactly, but I think I was up to 6, 7, around 10 clients. And then I knew, yes, I can do this. And it's still, it's still a jump. It's still a leap of faith. It's saying, okay, it's probably not paying 100%, but it pays, let's say, like 80, 90% of the costs that I'm having, of living costs. And so I decided, let's do it. And I remember one of my clients, he said, if you keep holding on to something with one hand, so you have to imagine you hold onto one rail with one hand, and you're trying to grab the other rail with the second hand. There comes a time or a moment where you have to release that one hand that's giving you security. So you got to use both hands to grab that rail.
Yeah.
And the conversation with my father that I had, he was encouraging me. He said that's the way you're supposed to go. And I'm not looking back. It was the best decision I've ever made.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's a great analogy. Never thought of it that way, but it's 100% true. And the other thing is, so you pretty quickly would have got up to your first $1,000 a month. How was it like the first month or the first few months that it took you to already make up your first $1,000 through this?
The first $1,000, I think it was in the second or third month. Probably in the second, or even it went so quick. It's crazy when you follow a dream, or you're trying to build a dream, and you're always grinding, and it never pays off. You're still trying to make ends meet, and then here comes this one chance. It's like an explosion. It happened immediately, and I knew I was onto something, because when I was in the gym, I knew I gotta get my own room. I have to rent my own space.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing, when I decided to leave my corporate job, then I was working full-time as a personal trainer in that local gym. And then I found a new space, a new room. And another decision came up where I remember I was sitting in front of my laptop, and I was investing about 4,000 to 5,000 Swiss francs. That's about $6,000 of my first equipment. So I'm sitting there, and at the same time, there comes a lawsuit. Somebody, it was crazy. It was crazy, because I was writing a blog about a person, about a corporate gym owner, and I have to admit, I was young and stupid. That was 5 years ago. It's not a long time ago, but I was wild. I was a wild boy, and the blog post that I've posted, it wasn't very, very negative, but it was just pointing out the flaws of the corporate job that I worked in the fitness industry, even way before. And then they called me up. They said, listen, this is the lawyer speaking, blah, 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 blah. And you have to take this down. You got to delete the post, and we're going to take you to court.
Wow.
And that was a
great start.
Yeah, that was a great start. So I was like, you got to imagine, I'm sitting in front of that laptop, and I'm like, okay, I got to buy this stuff. I know it's the right thing, but I have to save some money because this is going to go crazy. But at the end of the day, I was able to settle it outside of court. I had to pay the lawyer, which was a huge sum of money. But looking back, I was able to dig through it.
Man, well,
crazy.
At least you overcame it.
Yes.
A lot of people would have stopped there and been like, all right, maybe not.
All right. Yeah, maybe not, yeah. But sometimes, when I think great chances or great possibilities that arise always come with challenges. So the challenge that I was facing was, am I able to walk through this, trusting God, trusting myself, trusting that this is the right decision. And you go with the gut, all right? You never know it's the right decision until you decide it. But I was always the kind of person that decided, I'm going to do this. I even remember back when I was doing the music thing, the biggest thing that I was able to do with my music was I was accompanying Felix Baumgartner from Red Bull Stratus. You remember the guy that jumped from space in 2012?
Yep.
I was there with him, and I was able to write a song for him. And I remember he said, join me, come to the States, and I've spent all my money to be able to go there, and I lost everything. But I was always that dude. I always said, listen, I got to do it, because I don't want to look back and say, well, I don't know, I didn't try. All right? I can always say I tried it. All right? And
so what do you think went wrong when you moved to the States and you were trying to make it all work over here?
Well, I didn't even move to the States. It was just that for that short period of time for Red Bull Stratus. And I don't know, I can't tell you what went wrong. It's just maybe the music industry or the thing that I was doing, it wasn't supposed to work out. That's it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was a wild boy. That was 2012. That's almost 10 years ago. Man, time flies. And even back then, I was always saying it's somebody else's responsibility to help me make it. Until I realized, listen, it's nobody's responsibility to help you make it.
Yep. No one's helping you. You've got to do it on your own.
Yeah. And it's broken promises, and even these broken promises, now that I'm a little bit older, I get used to it. I'm like, that's normal. That's part of being a human being. It's working with people, being disappointed, but that's part of the game. So 99 times I was disappointed, but that one time, now with the business that I'm having now, that one time it worked out. So I kept going.
Got it. So where is the business now? You started out doing, music and everything. You started out, and then you did some crazy stuff with the Red Bull Stratosphere. And then you came back and you were like, okay, let's do this personal training stuff. I'm sick of corporate life. And then where did it go from there once you started taking on some personal trainers and after you'd overcome this lawsuit?
After everything was said and done, I moved into this new room. And that's another crazy story, man. I got to tell you. I was working in that gym, right in the local gym. So as a personal trainer, all right? So the owner of the gym walks up to me and he says, hey, Gregory, are you willing to take a shift from me working as a fitness instructor? Because we have the guy or the girl she's not able, I don't know who it was, is not able to come. And we need somebody to take the noon shift, right? At lunch. And that's tomorrow. Do you have any clients? I was like, no. Hey, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. So, and some people even said, well, you probably felt like you had to step down from the personal trainer to the fitness instructor. But I was like, no, that's not stepping down. That's just, trying to help people in another way now. And now I'm getting, And it wasn't even new, because back then, about a few years ago, I was working in the gym as a fitness instructor. So I had the license, I had the certificate. So that's the reason why you also asked me. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So I did it. And in that moment, that one shift it was only one shift. I met this one guy that I remember. I met him years ago, but we didn't have much of a connection. But I met him then in that noon shift, and he was like, hey man, I know you're working as a personal trainer, right? Yeah. And I said, yeah. And he said, are you looking for a room? And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for a room. So he showed me this space that we're now in, and he was the one who made it possible. It was that one moment.
It's all about those opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah, another opportunity. Yeah, it showed up, and I took it by the horns. I was like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And from then on, I can tell you, and this is what I'm telling all, if there's any coaches or fitness instructors or personal trainers listening, I believe the biggest, and that's even somebody else confirmed this to me, the biggest shift, because we were talking about milestones, right? The biggest paradigm shift happened when I opened up my personal training studio. From then on, it went nuts. It exploded. And to a degree where I was like, I've never had so many clients. I've never seen that much money, and it was crazy. And growth, and that's when I remember I was Googling stuff about growth, how to handle growth. And I was like, wow, that's a challenge. So there's new challenges that are coming up. All right. And that was the biggest moment, owning and now working from this personal training studio. And you have to imagine, we don't have a corporate gym. If you walk into the studio, you always have a session with the coach. We don't have normal clients who come in and work out to do what they want. It's always with the coach.
Okay,
always.
So it's all classes or
all
personal?
classes. Everything's booked. Yeah, you always have to book the coach if you want to work out with us, either with me or with Angie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved into the new space, and then you've probably gone from making a few thousand to making tens of thousands, and I'm sure future on to hundreds of thousands. What do you think those main milestones were? Like once you got the space, after that, like I saw, you've got a bunch of stuff on YouTube. You've opened up a lot of online training stuff. What were kind of like the pivotal moments after you opened that gym into like unlocking that success?
I think the pivotal moment of digging down into the success was listening to this one advice that I got from Nick Mitchell. And Nick Mitchell is one of the biggest, he's the CEO of Ultimate Performance. That's one of the biggest personal training chains there is. He runs multiple gyms across different continents. And he says, when people come to the personal trainer, to a coach, they're not looking for a physiotherapist, and they're not looking for somebody to make them feel good. They're looking for an experience, and they're looking for results. So we're focused in on this. So we said, okay, now we're here to help people lose weight. That's what's up, and make them feel great and in a respectable amount of time. And that's when we started with this product that we're now called the Fat Burner Package. That's the Fat Burner Package, where we offer personal training and nutrition coaching at the same time. And from that moment, that was 2018, 2017-ish, 2018. It was, 2017, 18-ish. Then with this product, we had another niche carved out. We was like, okay, that's the guy that you're visiting if you want to get in shape. And most people want to get in shape if they walk into a gym. So, and even with the pricing, what's crazy is people be like, well, people are not willing to pay a lot for fitness. Well, they're willing to pay a lot money. But it has to be worth it. People are willing to pay stuff. I was like, I used to be scared of the prices that we have. And now I'm like, listen, that's it. It will be even more expensive this summer. We'll probably increase the prices up to 10 to 20%.
Yep.
And I remember even meeting this one hotel guy. He was like, listen, he was watching a video of me and we had a small conversation. He was like, listen, I think you're onto something. You know what you got to do? You got to be more expensive. I was like, I was like, really? He was like, yeah, you got to be the most expensive, man. Everybody has to know you are the guy.
You're the
and
best.
people have to pay. Yeah. And I can tell you, 2019 was the strongest year we've ever had. It was crazy.
Okay, and then I was taking a look at a few things, and it looks like you kind of niched down to kettlebell training. So can you go into that a little bit?
That happened later. That happened thanks to the pandemic. We had, even before the pandemic, I was always interested in kettlebells, and I always followed Steve Cotter. Steve Cotter is one of the pivotal people of kettlebell training and kettlebells in the western part of the world. He and Pavel, or at least Pavel's the most well-known, Pavel Tsatsouline, the most well-known kettlebell guy. And Steve Cotter, he was working with him, and then they split ways, and I was getting coaching from him, and we certified in his coaching certificates in June 2019. And that was another pivotal moment of my career, because then I was just starting to dig down into kettlebells even more intensively. And when COVID hit, this was the pandemic. I have to be careful when I say this, but I have to be grateful that to some extent that this happened, because this led to us honing in on kettlebell training. And that's now the primary focus. And even now with this year, even at the end of 2020, when even this thing got even worse, the pandemic hit, then in Switzerland, it was crazy, then all lockdown, then the summer, it went back to normal almost, and then in autumn, it went crazy again, I think almost at every place in the world.
Yep.
And the second lockdown, the second wave, is when we started these live workouts. We were doing these live workouts on YouTube always, but we started to focus on these live workouts even more. And that's another thing where I think that's another milestone. We hit the 10,000 subscriber mark by the end of December. And now we're seeing it's crazy. YouTube's recommending this stuff like it's nuts. It's the best place you want to be in when you're on YouTube.
Yeah, and then so for that, you said you started focusing on the live training. So what was the difference between you doing the live trainings and then when you started focusing on the live trainings? What were you doing differently to start making it work?
I was prior to this, prior to the second wave and the second lockdowns, we were just doing everything. We were doing body weights, then some dumbbells, and mostly kettlebells. We had the focus on the kettlebell, but we were doing some dumbbells, some body weight, because people were like, "Well, I don't have kettlebells. Can you help us out?" We were like, "Yeah, we'll help us out." Blah blah blah. And then I realized you want to be the best at one thing. You want to be the expert of one thing. You want to invest your whole time, your whole energy, dedicate everything that you have, all the resources in this one particular thing. And that was the kettlebell. So I realized now we're doing live workouts only with the kettlebell. And even the content, that's a strategy of YouTube that I'm having. The content brings people in, just, how to work with kettlebells. For example, one video that really took off was a reaction to Joe Rogan. Then another video that took off was just trying to top 3 exercises for kettlebell beginners. And then they start subscribing. And then the live workouts are now one of the pivotal systems that keeps the YouTube channel afloat, because it's way easier for me to do these live workouts than it is to keep pushing out content in that regular time and space, right? Yep. So that was the pivotal moment, was switching to kettlebells only and upgrading production quality.
Yep. Yeah, no, we went through a similar thing actually. The difference that just changing your audio, changing your lighting makes is massive, because you can really stand out on YouTube if you just do a few things better than the rest.
Yes. Yes.
And so, I think the fitness industry has adopted YouTube really well. But, how would you say your stuff is standing out more than anybody else? What, because it's just because you focus on kettlebells and that's you're the go-to guy for that? Or do you think there's some other factors that people watch your fitness channel as opposed to others?
I think, we're not even the number one. Number one is Mark Wildman in kettlebells with about over 100,000 subscribers. So we're in that. I think we're in the last lane. But I've compared our growth with bigger channels, for example, like Mark Wildman's and Swing This Kettlebell in Strength, and then even Strong First from Pavel Tsatsouline, all these players in that niche. We had a similar growth with only 10,000 subscribers, and then it was below 10,000. We had a similar growth with around 10K subs than other channels with 50, 60, 100,000. So that showed me, we're doing something right. And I think the content, I've been talking to Angie, to my girlfriend. I've been talking to her so many times. The reason why I believe why our stuff maybe stands out to a certain degree is we have the experience with people day in and day out. Yeah. So we are able to incorporate this knowledge and this experience in helping people in real life online. And I think you see a lot of coaches who do good stuff, who are technically safe, who know a lot of stuff, yet maybe what they're lacking is the experience with people. Okay. And so that's I believe one thing that sets us apart. Then the way how we train with kettlebells sets us maybe a little bit apart. And I think the concept that we're now following with the live workouts, I believe, and I don't want to sound arrogant really, but I believe we're onto something that is pretty new. Because what you see on YouTube is you see gaming, streaming. For example, Dr. Disrespect, you maybe know him? One of the biggest gaming streamers, right? One of the biggest gaming streamers there is. So, and you have Ninja, you have Shroud, all these big gaming channels, all right? They're streaming games, right? So that's normal. When you look at these guys, you see their camera. For example, when you take a look at Dr. Disrespect, his production level is crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's like expensive. A TV studio, all right? And so what they do is they stream video games, but in the live workout genre, you don't have production quality like this. So my idea is now to bring that awesome production value that comes from gaming, and I look at what these guys are doing, combine it with the live workouts, and be consistent. And I think even with kettlebells, drawing even deeper into the niche, I believe that's maybe one of a kind on YouTube that we're following with the way how we do it.
Okay. And so what do you think the main struggle is from fitness trainers or fitness brands going from old school in-person classes, in-person trainings to this online platform that's worked so well for you guys? What do you think the main pushback is or main issue is?
It's a very good question. You know, we're still, and I have to mention this, we're still depending on our life coaching in real life. About 80% is still the coaching with real people. So I believe this is not something that's gonna disappear. However, I see down the line that the future, knocks on the door. So, and we just had, and this morning I had a kettlebell class with somebody from Berlin via Zoom, and and Angie's now doing the regular online coaching, which also draws in somebody from Germany. And I think the biggest struggle is, first of all, just branching out into the online world, because most people in the fitness industry, or just gym owners generally, they're old school. Like you mentioned, they're old school. They're not into new stuff, or they say, well, this is not, they laugh it off, or they think it's not worth it. That's one thing, trying to overcome your old school mentality that maybe something new is knocking on your door and maybe you have to start working with it. Then the second obstacle that's in the way that I'm seeing is technical problems. Technical problems can make you go nuts.
100%. I'm in the same boat.
And that's one of the reasons why I now bought this monster iMac that I have now. And it saves so much headache. Because now I can depend on the very powerful machine. But and like Gary Vee always says, you don't need a powerful machine to begin with. But once you start, you have to play with the thoughts and say, well, this is something that I want to dig in deeper. Then maybe I have to learn how Zoom works, learn how YouTube works, learn how this online coaching stuff world works, learn how I can incorporate all that kind of stuff. So they're big obstacles, and maybe one of the biggest obstacles that I believe exists is, and this is kind of a negative one, but it's the fitness industry, and I'm not speaking for everybody. I know a lot of good coaches, and there's a lot of people who mean well and who are very talented in what they do. But the old school fitness genre depends on people buying, subscribing, and not showing up. That's the reality of the game. Statistics are clear.
Yeah, well, I think that's what regular gyms are kind of built off, aren't they?
Yes.
They sort of try and get as many people in board, and they know that only 20% of people are going to show up 5 days a week, and they make all their profit on the guys that show up once a month.
There's even a statistic that says some gyms only survive because of the money they generate in January. So you have to imagine how the pandemic is existential, or how this crisis may be existential, or may really, really cause huge problems for businesses or for fitness and gym chains and all that kind of stuff. So, and you always have to imagine it's if you're solution based, our goal is we want to help people lose weight. We want to help people discover the kettlebell. We want to help people move. And now, even nowadays, we want to help people. That's one of the goals that we have now discovered that we're really pushing. We want to make people independent. You have to imagine you come to us, we make you ready, strong, we give you all the knowledge so you can be ready on your own. Because a system is only as good as it is when the expert leaves the room. All right, so if you have a system in place that always depends on a coach or a trainer, then your system is not as good, in my opinion.
Yep.
So it's solution based. So I want to help people no matter what, and no matter what means I have to choose. And I'm not limited by those means, because the basis, the premise, the foundation is want to help people. And of course, making a profit of it, because we all have to eat, right?
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, when you look at gym chains or the fitness industry, it's not about this solution-oriented problem. It's about or helping people. It's about making profit with as less people as possible, as less educated coaches as possible, and as less machines as possible. That's it. And that's and somebody even commented on our YouTube channel because I was talking about it. I was ranting a little bit about how everybody's now a bit complaining, which some are rightfully complaining, but at the end of the day, you have to get up and do something. And then somebody said, you know what COVID did? COVID exposed the scam of the fitness industry. And I was like, ooh.
Deep.
That's deep stuff, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think in general it just kind of like accelerated everybody into moving online at a faster pace than they had planned.
Yes.
Coming back to that though, some of the people that you have seen move online in the fitness space, what do you think? What are the main mistakes they usually make? Like, apart from like having bad quality production, what are some of the main mistakes that you can see that maybe other fitness people can avoid when they're going online or starting to do live sessions or starting to do YouTube? What are three things that you think most people make mistakes on? Okay,
I think that the first thing is you already mentioned production quality. However, it's not always production, but I think it is a part of it. I think going live and just because I saw a big YouTube channel, Buff Dudes, they have over I think 2 or 3 million subscribers. They went live once with a workout and it was horrible because they were just using their cell phone. And it looked bad, aside from the stuff that they normally do. But if you're just starting out and you use your iPhone, if you have nothing else, maybe don't go live. Just film your session, then cut it up, edit it, and then post it. So that's one thing. Okay. Production, you can avoid this huge necessity of having a good production quality when you film yourself and not go live, where you can just edit and maybe do some stuff in post-production. That's one thing. And the second thing is drilling down into the niche, understanding, well, what hasn't been done before. So maybe I start a battle rope channel. I only do battle rope workouts. I only do rowing workouts. I only do, because everything's already been done.
Yeah. And
so the question is, even if you do it, what sets you apart? How's your personality? What do you bring to the table? So for example, in our case, we bring the experience with clients to the table, and we put these in the workouts. So what do you bring to the table? Why should people tune in? All right. And maybe the last thing is people are just scared. Fear of men. They're scared of what somebody might comment or might say. And
it's always gonna be haters.
Yeah, and not even just haters. I think most people, you always get people who are trolls. Online trolls, you get them. That's part of the game. But you get a lot of people who critique your stuff and they're well-meaning. And you also get very harsh critique that has some nugget of truth in it.
Yeah.
It's just accepting the fact, going with it, flowing with it, and just trying. Because somebody said your first videos are your worst videos. We have over we have over 700 videos on our YouTube channel now. And I think the last 650 or 600, you can scrap them. So it's just go out there and try and find your style by doing it, by grinding with it, and having, people have to see the real you. I think people see through the facade pretty fast and pretty quick.
Yeah, especially as technology improves and more people start doing it. It's hard to fake it now. But the other thing I wanted to say as well is, I think one of the reasons you stand out the most is actually how much diversification you did in terms of your revenue streams. So, you did the personal training, you did the online stuff, you did packages with fitness and training. What is all the stuff that you actually offer, and how many different ways have you kind of diversified your revenue streams?
That's a very good question. We have the biggest chunk that we're doing is, like I've mentioned, still the live coaching. All right. So, and live coaching that we do with real people in real life consists out of small group personal training where we have about 4 clients, max to 6. Now COVID, it's 4. And where we have just people joining. and it's max to 4 with one coach, right? Then we have the personal training. This is the bread and butter of the business, and the nutrition coaching. So these are the 3 main ways of coaching that we do in real life. Then we have the online coaching branch, where that Angie's doing, my girlfriend, where she's in charge of it, and we always work on it. We really developed it thanks to the pandemic. It's now a very good system, where we incorporate all the knowledge that we have with real people and with the coaching. We incorporate it online, and it works pretty fascinatingly well. And then, like you mentioned, we have YouTube. That's one revenue stream that keeps growing. And not only YouTube, and that's one thing that I have to mention is, you know what, gamers, where they make a lot of money or much money is with donations. People are donating to the stream. And I knew this is going to happen to us as well. And it happens. We have one specific member of our kettlebell club. That's even another possibility. People can join now the channel and pay a small fee and per month, and then they are part of the channel and get a lot of awesome perks. And she spent over $200 in donations now. So the donations keep coming in. Sometimes we have $30, $40, $50 per workout. It doesn't happen as often, but sometimes we're like, woo, it's crazy. It's crazy. So that's another revenue stream. And then YouTube, the ad revenue, of course, or the money from the ad comes in. And like you mentioned, the packages, that's a combination of the in real life coaching. And then another branch is the kettlebell courses, online courses. And that's another branch that has a lot of potential,
Okay, and then going into those courses, how did you sort of put those together? Like, obviously you've already got the audience to sell it to, people who have already done maybe 1 or 2 sessions. They're like, okay, I want to now learn a little bit more about this, or I want to do it on my own, or I want to do it on my own time, or whatever it is. So what was the process of like identifying, hey, I should make a course, and then how did you even put that together?
The reason was the first lockdown. I was like, okay, I'm locked down. I can't do nothing. So what I'm going to do? And that's when we started upgrading the online coaching. We were offering it for free for folks, and we were in the gym, laptop open, Zoom. Let's go, guys. Let's do it. And then the whole day, I knew I got to put something together, because I also watched a lot of videos and a lot of content about how online e-learning is growing, how this market is growing. And so I knew I have to do something. And then I put it together with a lot of feedback from our clients and from people. And then I knew, okay, I got to focus on the most important exercises: swing, clean and jerk, and snatch. And then a big theoretical part where we lay the theoretical theory, the foundation. And that's how I put it together. It's in German, and it's over 50 hours of material. And you know the crazy thing? Most people that bought it were from the newsletters.
Okay.
So that's another revenue stream that I knew. Newsletters is something, and I think, what's his name? Bronson, Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson, yeah, from ClickFunnels. He said, you have to at least, if you do email marketing well, you have to at least make $1 per person that's on your list per month.
Yep.
And I think that's a pretty high goal when you're starting out, but it's something, very high, right? But it's something that is to a certain degree attainable. Maybe not $1, but just that sense of, hey, I'm able to monetize the newsletter. Not crazy monetization and trying to stick it down their throats, but just good stuff, good quality stuff. And actually, most people from the newsletters, it's crazy. And that's not a huge revenue stream, but it is still one.
Yeah.
That has
with
potential.
All these ones that add together, and over time they all build.
Yes, exactly.
And you've got to start somewhere.
Exactly. You got to start somewhere.
And I think the key with newsletter, newsletters have been in internet marketing forever. So our background is we have an ad agency, we have a giveaway platform, and we also have another platform called Hyax, which helps people build, funnels, courses, and all that sort of stuff. And what we see constantly people doing wrong in email is they'll just try and sell the first email they send to someone.
Yes.
Whereas the first few emails, you've got to deliver value.
Value.
Once you deliver that value and then you come back with this course, they're like, yeah, I'm definitely going to buy this from him because all this other stuff has been awesome.
Yes. Yes.
And so for you and your course, that obviously makes sense that the newsletter was the first people to buy your course. And then once you expand past that, I'm sure you can start integrating that more in, more of your social content, more of your YouTube content.
Yes. Social. I didn't even mention, sorry to interrupt you. I didn't even mention social. A lot of people, we tried this very special method from the PTDC. That's the online coaching. Jonathan Goodman is his name, from the PTDC. And I tried his method of gaining clients it wasn't gaining clients for online coaching, but it was gaining clients to buy the course. And this worked immensely well. And it was, the idea was 3 posts per day. You go 7 days a week. So you have 2 posts on Instagram and you go live once. And we did this 7 days a week, and always, like you said, delivering value and then selling. And I think another big reason why this maybe goes so well now and why the courses are now starting to pick up is value was one thing, but now the authority comes into play. That people are like, this guy is one of the experts, so to speak. Yep. So the trust is way higher. That was a few days ago when I had this call with a potential client, with a prospect. And I told this, my girlfriend, I told Angie, I was like, you know what's crazy? I didn't even have to sell. We were just having a conversation, and because he was interested in personal training. And so we were having a conversation, and I immediately started talking because, first of all, I love talking, as you might have noticed. And I love talking about my passion, that's kettlebells and nutrition and fitness and stuff. And so because this guy was for 6 months on a newsletter, he joined in August 2020. 6 months on a newsletter. And he joined multiple live workouts or multiple workouts. The sales process, he was already sure. I could have said whatever. He was already sure. And he paid, he took 5 classes. That's the first time we were connected in a call. He took 5 classes, 700 euros. That's about what? $700, $750. Like this. More, yeah. Paid it instantly via PayPal. Boom, done. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Like, as we were talking about all those other revenue streams and all those other activities that you're doing, they build over time, because that sales funnel, for example, you were saying was months long. So the longer you do that, the more volume you're going to have from that too, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Because you know what's funny? When he joined, I always have, when people join, I'm very active with the newsletter. So once people join, I hit them in the newsletter. They get the tag, existing coaching or personal training. And then the next day, they get a welcome email with all of the infos that we talked about. So then it's like, hey, you get a lot of infos, but here you can read it. And then you got a lot of goodies and welcome to Lebensstark and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to add him. I took his email, I wanted to add him. So MailChimp's like, oops, that person already exists. And that's when I found out, say what? So I went back and come to find out, like I said, August 2020. Dang. And I was like, wow. You just have to be patient.
All those emails did the sales for you.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? When I'm sending out these emails, I'm always, and I took this from Neil Patel, what's his name? Internet marketer, right? I took it from him where he's like, I deliver so much value, I forget the selling. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I'm delivering so much stuff, free course this, free goodie this, free that. I don't even know, and people are just trusting you. Because they're like, hey, this person doesn't want to rip me off. Yeah. And I think trust, like you said, it built over time.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it's now spilling over to these other industries as they start to go online.
Yes.
Because, looking at all of the internet marketing companies and those sorts of people, like you've mentioned a few, they've been doing this for so many years already. And now it's rolling out into fitness, real estate, food and beverage. It's rolling out to all these industries that were majority like physical in-person experiences. And now they're like, okay, well, now we can actually do all of this stuff that digital marketers have been doing And it's just like opening the doorway to so many opportunities for these maybe more traditional niches.
Really is.
So yeah, it's
100%.
super interesting.
And you know what's crazy? It's even mixing these possibilities that you have online with the personal training. So for example, somebody walks in, so people are buying our biggest package, and that's also diversifying the portfolio. Our biggest package costs about $6,000. 6K. Wow. And I used to be scared, but people are buying that stuff. People have
That's
money.
A good thing.
Yeah, people are buying. And somebody even said this. Somebody even said, just because you're not willing to give that much money or spend that much money, other people are. So mixing the newsletter. So people come in, so they buy this contract signed, they're having fun, they go home. The next day they get an email. They're like, hey, welcome, man. And they're like, oh, that's cool. That's just adding to the experience, what you can mix. And maybe, if I may add, you said these 3 things, right? I'm just, now that you mentioned these people, maybe there's a 4th thing that is so important. Watch how others do it, and watch how those guys do it who are already successful in your field and in your niche. And Ray Dalio even says, watch those who are successful in your niche, how they do it, and they were successful at least 3 times. Listen to those people.
Yeah. Because the other thing is, it's so hard to reinvent the wheel. It's so much easier to take something that's already in existence and then putting your own spin on it or putting your own method on it. Like, for example, what you did with the kettlebells, it's like, that's a brilliant idea to niche down into something that you're passionate about, because you're the guy to go to for that, as opposed to just sticking with the thousands of people you would compete with for like, body weight training or like just general fitness classes.
It's just, you create your blue ocean, right? It's the blue ocean that you're creating, where you're the expert in, not the red ocean where everybody's having a race to the bottom because they are selling to the same client, offering the same services. So drilling down and understanding, like you said, you can't reinvent what's already happened. And even I think Tom Ska is his name. That's a YouTuber. He said, you know what your style is? Your style is a mixture of so many styles you copy and steal from so many people that it's unrecognizable. That's your style. Mixing it all together. And 100%. It's and you have to be open, man. You have to be open-minded to really engage in that online stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think everything's already been done, hasn't it? It's so hard to be original now. So you need to do a hybrid of something. Oh, you're right. You have to be a hybrid of something. 100%. All right. Well, Gregory, this has been amazing episode. So much value in it. Cool. And really interesting learning. Yeah, so good learning so much about that fitness space, how you've pivoted, how you've kind of grown from this experience, and really unlocked so many more opportunities, getting outside your comfort zone. Where can everybody sort of find out what you're doing, get in touch with you, maybe find out more about your kettlebell classes, your courses, all that sort of stuff?
Where they can find us?
Yeah.
They can just go to YouTube, and I think now when you type in kettlebell workout, we're pretty in the top list now. That's one thing, because Leberstark is hard to understand, all right? But it's not as hard, because you know what I realized? Lebe, the Lebe, right, is part of kettlebell. These letters Lebe are in kettlebell. So that's Lebe, and then Stark, like Tony's brother, right? Tony Stark, like Iron Man. So that's how you find us, and you find us we're very active on Instagram and very active on YouTube. So that's where you can get in contact. And the website and everything, a lot of stuff is in German, and we're really, really hyping it up to our accelerating the process to make it to make it or to translate it in English, so that more people can enjoy the passion and the love for the kettlebell. Yeah, well, I think, I checked out a bunch of your YouTube content. It was so good. Definitely worth watching. And I'll link to everything so people don't have to try and spell it anyway. That's great.
And Gregory, was awesome chatting. I'm sure we'll stay in touch, but have a fantastic rest of the day. And thanks for joining.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation again, Jack.